ClickUp just solved AI's biggest problem, and it's saving 4 million teams from productivity loss every day. Unlike ChatGPT and other AI tools, ClickUp converges all your work into one platform, so your AI super agents have full context to prioritize tasks, execute workflows, and draft documents instantly. Teams using ClickUp finish work 30% faster and cut meetings in half. Try ClickUp for free today and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
Tired of your car insurance rate going up even with a clean driving record? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/ACAST today. If you're still sleeping on cotton or satin, that could be the reason for frizzy hair, sleep creases, overheating, and even breakouts. Dermatologists actually recommend switching to silk because it's naturally cooling and much gentler on your skin and hair. That's exactly why over 3 million people have made the switch to Blissy. Blissy pillowcases are made from 100% pure mulberry silk, the highest quality silk you can get. It's breathable, hypoallergenic, and surprisingly machine washable, so it's easy to care for. People love waking up with smoother hair, calmer skin, and no sleep lines. Plus, Blissy makes the perfect gift, and you can even complete the set with matching sleep masks, silk bonnets, and crease-preventing scrunchies. Blissy's offering 60 nights risk-free plus 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/unwind. Your skin and hair will thank you.
If your team isn't using ClickUp, you're wasting time, and data proves it. 61% of knowledge workers manage work more than doing it, switching apps 1,000 times a day. That's work sprawl and costs millions. ClickUp replaces 20 apps with Convergence, uniting projects, docs, and chats, while AI super agents handle the busy work. Join 4 million teams using ClickUp to finish work 30% faster. Try it free and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
We live in a culture obsessed with dieting, weight loss, and exercise, and that can make eating disorder behaviors easy to miss. But the reality is, eating disorders are serious mental illnesses that take a major toll on your health and your life. But recovery is possible. Eating disorders are more common than you might think. Chances are you know someone who is struggling with one, or maybe you're struggling yourself. If you're concerned about an eating disorder in yourself or a loved one, I want to introduce you to Equip. Equip is a fully virtual, evidence-based eating disorder treatment program that helps patients achieve lasting recovery at home. Every Equip patient is matched with a multidisciplinary care team that includes a therapist, dietitian, medical provider, and mentors. And you get a personalized treatment plan that's tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Equip treats patients of all ages and all eating disorder diagnoses. It's covered by insurance, and there's no wait list. If you think that you or a loved one could be struggling with an eating disorder, don't wait to get help. Visit equip.health to learn more. That's equip.health.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Toby.
And welcome to the Whispering Woods podcast. This episode is all about
Gremlins.
Yeah, the Gremlins from World War II. Did you know they had gremlins?
No, I didn't, to be fair.
Oh, you're going to like this. You are going to like this. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where we have a number of tiers. For £2.50 a month, you can listen ad-free to The Whispering Woods, and for £4.50 a month, you can listen ad-free to The Whispering Woods and the After Dark episodes. I do want to say we will be putting some of the episodes back in. We're just having a bit of downtime at the moment. And we have some reviews to read. And this one is from Rayan53 from the United States. Adorable meets spooky. I love this. The host is a mum who often includes her teenage son on many of the episodes. They both have nice, soothing voices and beautiful accents that match their personalities. It casts a wide net over the supernatural stories, bringing us scary but in a comfortable, sweet way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's lovely.
Very lovely. One from Lloyd Xmas. 5 stars, great podcast. I really enjoyed this one. Thank you very much.
Oh,
the United States.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lloyd Xmas. And another one is from France. Well-researched programme. This podcast is excellent. Sarah is great at uncovering intriguing stories and scripting the programme to keep it pacey and engaging. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I don't know how you manage to find so many stories that I haven't heard before. The mother-son dynamic is unique too. Am I the only one who mutters out loud, "Yes, I am," in Toby's voice when he is unable to join the podcast? And that's from @Mitch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And no, I think there are quite a number of people who do that when you're not around, aren't there? We've heard that before. I love it.
Yeah.
I would just want to give another quick shout out to Ryland Hannum as well. Just saying thank you so much for your little message there. That's great.
Yes, thank you.
Right. So, Gremlins. This is actually quite spooky. Now, I'm sorry if it doesn't sort of flow in a date sense. I know there's another word for it, but I can't think of it. Because I had to look for more stories to make sure the episode was long enough. So I do then go back through other years. But that's the reasoning behind it. If you think, oh yeah, but that was 40 and this one is 50, whatever. 1950, 1941, 1943. I do jump about a bit. But anyway, are you ready for the story?
Yes, I am.
It's February 1944, 25,000 feet above the North Sea. The cold up here is beyond ordinary cold. It's surgical. It cuts. It finds seams in leather gloves and crawls beneath oxygen masks. Flight Sergeant Tommy Wade grips the controls of his RAF Halifax bomber and stares through a windshield frosting at the edges. The moon below the cloud cover makes the sea look like cracked glass. Then the port engine coughs. Just once. Tommy glances at the instrument panel. All readings normal. Then it coughs again. The navigator swears over the intercom. The engineer leans forward, checking fuel pressure. And that's when Tommy hears it. A scraping sound. Not mechanical. Not metallic. It's irregular, like fingernails dragged across aluminium. He leans closer to the windshield. There, just at the edge of the wing, something moves. Small. Low to the metal, crawling. He blinks hard. The shape shifts in the moonlight. It looks almost human. No more than 3 feet tall. Squat. Shoulders hunched. And then it turns its head toward him. 2 pale eyes reflect the cockpit glow. The engine dies. The scraping stops. And the thing is gone. They didn't begin in World War II, not exactly. The word gremlin was already floating around RAF squadrons in the 1920s and 30s. It was just a joke at first, a way to explain why brand new aircraft would suddenly malfunction mid-flight. Loose wiring? Gremlins. stored carburettor, Gremlins. A cracked fuel line no one noticed. Must have been the little devils. But when World War II erupted and pilots began flying deeper, faster and higher than ever before, the jokes stopped being funny. Mechanical failure in peacetime was frustrating. Mechanical failure over Nazi-occupied France was fatal. And that's when the Gremlins stopped being metaphors. They became witnesses. According to RAF folklore, Gremlins were small humanoid creatures that lived in aircraft fuselages and engine housings. They had leathery skin, sharp teeth, oversized ears, sometimes bat-like wings. They worked in teams. They sabotaged wiring. They chewed control cables. They froze instruments mid-flight. And they laughed while doing it. By 1942, reports had become so common that even senior officers were aware of the term. Roald Dahl, yes, that Roald Dahl, was an RAF pilot during the war. After a crash in Libya, he later wrote about Gremlins in a story commissioned by Walt Disney. But Dahl's fictional version was sanitized. The pilot's version wasn't. Among bomber crews, there were rules. Never talk about them on your first flight. Never acknowledge seeing one out loud. And never, ever mock them. In late 1941, a Wellington bomber out of RAF Lossiemouth reported unexplained fuel loss over the North Atlantic. The crew assumed they'd taken flak. They hadn't. There were no holes in the tanks, but something had torn through the fuel line from the inside. The rear gunner later gave a statement to his commanding officer. He said he'd seen something, like a small man in a mechanic's suit, crouched near the wing root before taking off. Thought it was ground crew. It wasn't. When they landed, ground engineers found scratches along the interior panels. Not tool marks. Parallel lines too small for a human hand. The gunner requested transfer the next week. By 1942, the term gremlin was widespread. So widespread that Winston Churchill reportedly grew irritated by its persistence. Mechanical failures were embarrassing enough. Blaming mythical creatures did nothing for morale. Unofficial orders circulated, discouraging superstitious explanations. But discouragement didn't stop sightings. If anything, it made them quieter and stranger. Flying Officer Lionel Carmichael preferred reconnaissance missions, solo flights, high altitude, fast. You didn't need a crew, just nerves. In December 1943, Carmichael took off before dawn in a de Havilland Mosquito. His mission, to photograph rail yards outside Cologne. At 30,000 feet, oxygen systems were everything. Halfway through the run, his oxygen feed sputtered, then resumed, then sputtered again. He checked the line. Clear. He adjusted his mask. That's when he noticed something moving along the inside of the canopy. Not outside, inside. Small shapes like children crawling along the curvature of the glass. Their fingers left fog trails in the condensation. He tried to swat at one. His hand passed through it. But the altimeter began spinning. The aircraft dipped into a shallow dive. He fought the controls for nearly 30 seconds before the system stabilised. He made it back to base. Medical officers attributed it to hypoxia. Carmichael disagreed. He told one nurse, if it was just low oxygen, why did they smile? He never flew operationally again. By 1943, American bomber crews arriving in England had heard the stories. They laughed at first, then their own planes began failing. The 384th Bomb Group reported multiple incidents of mid-air radio failure during daylight raids over Germany. One B-17 crew described small shadows moving across the wings during a return flight. The co-pilot swore he saw one crouched on the nose of the aircraft. When they landed, their nose art, freshly painted the day before, had been scratched away. The marks were curved, intentional. The crew chief told them it was a wind abrasion. The crew didn't argue, but they stopped painting faces on their planes. Gremlins weren't confined to Europe. In the Pacific, American pilots flying long missions over open water began reporting monkey-like creatures on their wings. Lieutenant Harold Jensen flew P-38 Lightnings out of Guadalcanal. One humid night in 1944, while returning from a patrol, his instrument panel went dark. He tapped the glass. It flickered back on. Then a cold sensation touched his right calf. He looked down. Nothing there. Then the control stick stiffened. He was in a dive. He pulled with everything he had. For 15 seconds, nothing responded. Then, just as suddenly, the controls loosened. He levelled out at barely 2,000 feet. Back at base, mechanics found no fault. Jensen began sleeping with the lights on. In March 1945, a Lancaster crew recorded one of the most disturbing Gremlin-associated accounts. During a night raid over Essen, a flight engineer reported hearing voices in the engine housing. Not radio interference, not crew chatter. Whispers. He leaned closer to the engine panel and said over the intercom, "They're back." The pilot asked, "Who's back?" There was a pause. Then the engineer replied very quietly, "The little ones." The engines began overheating despite normal readings. Then a second voice came over the intercom. Not identified, not matching any crewman. "You shouldn't have come back." The tape cut out there. The aircraft returned safely. The engineer was later diagnosed with acute combat fatigue, but he insisted until his death that the voice didn't belong to any man. What makes the Gremlin reports unsettling isn't just that they existed, it's how consistent they were. Small humanoid forms, mechanical interference, appearing during high stress, vanishing without trace, and often, always, laughter. Pilots described it as high-pitched, childlike and mocking. Some claimed Gremlins preferred night missions. Others said they favoured new aircraft, as if attracted to fresh machinery. And a few insisted Gremlins only targeted planes that had survived previous raids, as if they remembered. In April 1945, a Spitfire pilot reported engine trouble near Dover. He mentioned lights in the clouds, then silence. Search crews found the aircraft in the field. There were no burn marks or crater. The canopy open, the pilot missing. There was no parachute deployment, just small indentations in the mud near the wing. Close together. Too close for human boots. The case was ruled a wartime anomaly. The file was closed. RAF pilots stationed in Malta in 1941 began filing odd maintenance complaints. Aircraft that had been thoroughly inspected before sortie would return with severed cables inside the wings, fuel lines punctured from within. One pilot, Flying Officer Ernest Thorne, reported seeing a small dark figure crouched atop the starboard wing during a dawn patrol over the Mediterranean. He assumed it was oil or a shadow until it moved. It crawled along the slipstream, turned its head toward the cockpit, and lifted one hand in a slow, deliberate wave. Moments later, his radio failed. Thorne managed to return to base. He told no one for 3 days. When he finally admitted what he saw, 2 other pilots quietly confessed similar sightings. All 3 aircraft had experienced unexplained instrument failures mid-flight. Brown's crew at RAF Biggin Hill began noticing strange damage patterns in late 1942. Not battle damage, not weather wear. Scratches, parallel and clustered, often near access panels. One mechanic described them as like a child had dragged a rake across the metal. The space was too narrow for human hands, and the marks were too precise for random debris. Some engineers dismissed it, others stopped working alone at night. March 1943. A B-17 Flying Fortress named Lucky Bell joins a bombing run over Bremen. The aircraft takes heavy flak. On the return journey, the tail gunner, Staff Sergeant Milton Avery, notices movement near the tail assembly. He assumes debris caught in the structure. Then he sees a face, peering between metal ribs, grey and wrinkled. Its mouth stretches too wide for its skull. It opens and closes silently. Avery screams into the intercom. The crew thinks he's hit. Moments later, the rudder jams. The plane yaws violently. The pilot fights the controls. Somehow they stabilise. After landing in East Anglia, mechanics find no structural reason for the rudder lock. Avery refuses to fly again. He spends the rest of the war grounded. Across both RAF and USAAF squadrons, one detail repeats. Laughter high-pitched. Mocking, sometimes heard through headsets, sometimes from inside engine housings. A crew of Lancaster bomber over the Ruhr in 1944 reported hearing giggling through the radio channel, even when no other aircraft were transmitting. The wireless operator swore the sound moved from ear to ear inside his headphones. When he told them off, the sound continued from behind him. He turned. No one was there. The next morning, both port engines required full replacement. Internal damage with no clear cause. Europe, Africa, the Pacific, independent squadrons, different aircraft, similar descriptions, small humanoid forms, mechanical interference, laughter, appearing during high-stress flight, vanishing without trace, often targeting aircraft that had survived previous missions. Some pilots swore Gremlins remembered them, that if you escaped once, they would try again. RAF Polbrook, 1944. The American B-17 sat ready on the runway before dawn. Its engines were primed, crew strapped in. The mission briefing had been brutal. Deep into Germany. Long flight with heavy resistance expected. The pilot gave the signal. Engine 1 roared to life. Engine 2 followed. Engine 3. Engine 4 sputtered, coughed, and then died. The crew chief signalled a hold. Mechanics swarmed the wing, checked the ignition, fuel pressure, spark plugs. Everything was textbook. The pilot tried again. This time, Engine 4 caught, but Engine 2 died instantly. It wasn't random, it wasn't sequential, like something was deliberately moving from housing to housing. The waist gunner later swore he saw something small scuttle across the top of the wing during the delay. He described it as a kid in coveralls, but wrong somehow. He blinked and it was gone. About 40 minutes of failed attempts, command ordered the aircraft grounded. The rest of the squadron took off without them. 2 of those planes never returned. The B-17 remained on the runway, frost forming along its wings. That night, the ground crew reported hearing knocking from inside Engine 2. Not loose metal. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks again. No one volunteered to check. North Africa, 1942. The Desert War had its own atmosphere. Heat rippled off sand, engines choking on dust. Long empty horizons. A hurricane pilot named Arthur Penley was flying low over the Libyan coast when his compass began spinning. He tapped the glass. It spun faster. His artificial horizon tilted 30 degrees despite level flight. Then he felt weight shift on the aircraft. It wasn't turbulence, but pressure. As if someone had climbed onto the fuselage behind him. He twisted in his seat, and there, crouched on the tail assembly, was a shape no larger than a child. Its skin looked burned, cracked like dry earth. It clung effortlessly in 200-mile-per-hour wind. Henley banked hard. The figure didn't move. It stared and smiled. His guns jammed moments later during a skirmish with enemy aircraft. He survived, but he later told his commanding officer, "It wasn't trying to kill me, it was playing." A B-24 Liberator crew flying over Italy in late 1943 reported a navigational anomaly that has never been fully explained. Their maps, triple-checked before departure, became inaccurate mid-flight. Landmarks were miles off. Rivers bent in the wrong direction. The navigator, Lieutenant Samuel Greaves, insisted the coastline had shifted. The pilot accused him of fatigue. Then Greaves noticed something crawling across the navigation table. Small fingers, thin, grey. They moved the edge of the map slightly, just enough to alter alignment. Greaves swore and brushed the surface. Nothing there. But when he rechecked his position, they were drifting dangerously close to mountainous terrain. He corrected in time. Back at base, the map was found folded differently than standard protocol. Greaves claimed he'd never touched it after takeoff. That night, he dreamed of small figures tracing coastlines with ink-stained claws. Pacific Theatre, 1945. A tail gunner aboard a B-29 Superfortress claimed he saw something perched between the twin stabilizers. It crouched there calmly, unaffected by altitude or wind. The gunner, already shaken from anti-aircraft fire below, swung his turret. He fired. The bullets passed through it. No impact, no recoil. The figure turned its head slowly, opened its mouth wide, and although the gunner heard nothing, his headset filled with static. The aircraft's rear radar failed instantly. The captain reprimanded him for wasting ammunition. The gunner insisted he had a target. 2 days later, he refused to board the aircraft. He was reassigned. The crew later joked he'd gone gremlin mad. They stopped joking when their landing gear failed on the next mission. RCAF Station Trenton, winter of 1944. A training aircraft returned from a night exercise, attempted landing during a snowstorm. Visibility was nearly zero. The pilot relied entirely on instrument approach. At 500 feet, his altimeter froze, then dropped to zero. The co-pilot shouted correction. they pulled up just before impact. During debrief, both men admitted they had seen something moving across the instrument cluster moments before the malfunction. It appeared to crouch on the dashboard, its skin almost translucent in the cockpit glow. After landing safely, maintenance crews discovered frost patterns on the inside of the windscreen, patterns shaped like handprints. Small, perfectly defined, no one claimed responsibility. England 1943. A Spitfire undergoing repair caught fire inside a locked hangar. No electrical fault was found, no flammable materials nearby, just a small ignition point inside the engine cowling. The mechanic on duty that night told investigators he had seen a short, hunched figure moving between the planes shortly before the fire. He assumed it was another crewman, until it passed under the wing without ducking. The hangar ceiling was barely 6 feet high at that point. The mechanic resigned within the month. He later told a local pub patron, "They don't like being grounded. They like it better when we're in the air." The US Army Air Force's transport plane flying between England and France in early 1945 experienced prolonged radio interference. It wasn't static, it was whispers, and they were layered. The radio operator recorded the sound accidentally while attempting to recalibrate frequency. On playback, faint voices could be heard beneath the crew's speech, high and chattering. At one point, a phrase emerged clearly through the noise. "Stay." The operator requested the tape destroyed. Command archived it instead. The aircraft later crashed on a routine supply run. No mechanical cause was identified. May 1945. War nearly over. An RAF bomber taxis down the runway for what will be one of its final missions. The pilot glances to his right. On the wing, just beyond the engine housing, sits a small figure. It watches him. There is no malice, just observation. The pilot blinks. It remains. He whispers, barely audible, "We're done." The engines throttle forward. The figure leans into the wind and vanishes before liftoff. The aircraft completes its mission without incident. The war ends days later. The pilot never sees another one, but for years after, he avoids looking at wings in low light. When the war ended, Gremlin sightings declined sharply. Not immediately, but steadily. Jet engines replaced piston engines. Cabins became pressurized and electronics improved. And perhaps with fewer men flying into mortal danger every day, there were fewer reasons for something unseen to cling to the wings. Or perhaps the Gremlins simply moved on. Some aircraft mechanics in the 1950s still claim to hear scratching in empty hangars at night. Old bombers parked in scrapyards were said to creak with more than settling metal. Veterans occasionally reported dreams of small figures standing at the foot of their beds, watching. So what were they? Combat fatigue, hypoxia, stress-induced hallucinations. Those are the rational explanations, but they don't account for scratched panels or synchronized sightings or the whispered voice on the intercom. And they don't explain why pilots from entirely different theatres of war describe the same creatures. Before the stories had time to circulate between them, Gremlins were never officially acknowledged, never catalogued and never studied. They existed in logbooks and side conversations, in nervous laughter before takeoff, in the way seasoned pilots would sometimes pat the dashboard and mutter, "Behave yourself tonight," because in the end it wasn't about superstition, it was about something felt. Something seen in the peripheral vision at 20,000 feet. Something that moved where nothing should move. And if you visit aviation museums today, stand beneath the wing of a restored Lancaster or B-17, listen closely. The metal expands and contracts. It pops. It dips. Sometimes it almost sounds like scratching. And if you stay long enough, you might hear something else. A faint distant laugh, high, thin, carried on air that remembers war. No one proved the Gremlins existed. No one ever completely proved they didn't.
Dreaming of getting the all-new iPhone 17 Pro designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever?
Then stay in bed and let a Boost Mobile expert deliver and set it up for you.
Oh, actually, they will have to get up and open the door.
Oh, right.
Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms apply.
ClickUp just solved AI's biggest problem, and it's saving 4 million teams from productivity loss every day. Unlike ChatGPT and other AI tools, ClickUp converges all your work into one platform, so your AI super agents have full context to prioritize tasks, execute workflows, and draft documents instantly. Teams using ClickUp finish work 30% faster and cut meetings in half. Try ClickUp for free today and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
So interesting. They sound a lot like the Greys, like aliens interfering.
Yeah.
And I imagine that is something that they would do because it's war times, and some of the aliens don't like it when we war with each other.
Yeah, because they want a war of us instead.
Do you think so? I don't think all aliens are here for nasty reasons.
Yeah, maybe not all of them.
Not all of them. Probably just like humans. Some are alright, some are a bit nasty. Yeah, some want to kill us.
Like Yoda's kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're sound, aren't they?
Yeah. But do you think they...
Like Chewbacca.
I was going to say Chewbacca. Do you think they sound like aliens? That kind of a description of that grey sort of leathery skin, like big eyes, you know, it does sound rather alien. And it would make sense that all of a sudden they're on the plane. I'm not into the giggling, and I'm not into the pilot seeing them at the bottom of their beds. Yeah. That's kind of freaky. But it must have been such an awful time going through that, and stressful and terrifying, and then to have gremlins on top of it.
Yeah, trust.
It's just not on, mate.
I swear you gotta get the water.
Oh, the water makes them double.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You don't want to get the water. Or the food. Don't feed them after midnight. Maybe they were hungry. Maybe somebody broke the rules. I don't know. But I think it's really interesting that around sort of war times or disaster times, beings come out.
Yeah.
Because we have, like, when they had the Chernobyl disaster, there was a black being, much like, what's it called? Mothman.
Yeah.
A very Mothman creature that came out, and there are various other entities that come out during war times.
Yeah. Can't be having that.
No. Got enough to deal with.
Yeah. We do. Well, that's the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. I'll catch up with you on Thursday for the Reddit episode with Rod, which is also on YouTube now. And then I'll be back again on Sunday for the After Dark. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
If your team isn't using ClickUp, you're wasting time, and data proves it. 61% of knowledge workers manage work more than doing it, switching apps 1,000 times a day. That's work sprawl and costs millions. ClickUp replaces 20 apps with Convergence, uniting projects, docs, and chats, while AI super agents handle the busy work. Join 4 million teams using ClickUp to finish work 30% faster. Try it free and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
If you're still sleeping on cotton or satin, that could be the reason for frizzy hair, sleep creases, overheating, and even breakouts. Dermatologists actually recommend switching to silk because it's naturally cooling and much gentler on your skin and hair. That's exactly why over 3 million people have made the switch to Blissy. Blissy pillowcases are made from 100% pure mulberry silk, the highest quality silk you can get. It's breathable, hypoallergenic, and surprisingly machine washable, so it's easy to care for. People love waking up with smoother hair, calmer skin, and no sleep lines. Plus, Blissy makes the perfect gift, and you can even complete the set with matching sleep masks, silk bonnets, and crease-preventing scrunchies. Blissy's offering 60 nights risk-free plus 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/unwind. Your skin and hair will thank you.
Hi, this is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. This episode is brought to you by Peloton. I've been trying to stay consistent with moving my body in ways that actually fit into my real life, and Peloton makes that so much easier. The new cross-training series balances your workouts with 15 plus workout types for endless movements on and off your equipment. Stay motivated with weekly personalized plans that guide you from beginner to experienced. Push past your goals with routines tailored for you. It feels really approachable even if you're just getting back into a routine, which a lot of us are this January. It's nice not having to think about what to do. It's already mapped out for you. Get the new Peloton Cross Training Series. Terms apply.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.